They were furious I didn't pay their surprise HOA landscaping fee. So one morning I walked out and found my entire driveway blocked with poured cement, still drying. No warning. No permission. Just a note. Pay your dues. Next time it'll be bricks. But they forgot one thing, my grandpa. He built roads for the military. He didn't just remove the cement. He brought in a backhoe and dug a trench around the HOA headquarters. And that was just the warm-up. They picked the wrong grandson. It started with a fake fee. I had just moved into the house my grandfather built. It sat on the edge of the neighborhood, technically within HOA boundaries, but grandfathered in due to the property predating the association. A week after I moved in, I got a bill, spring landscaping fee, $475 due in 14 days. Late payments incur $50 per week penalty. No invoice. No bradun. No prior notice. I asked to speak to the board. Karen, the president, of course, said, everyone pays. You don't want to look like a bad neighbor, do you? That's when Grandpa got involved. They tried to threaten him. My grandfather, 74 years old, retired Army engineer, wiry and sharp, asked for a copy of the HOA charter. Karen laughed and said, that's for members only. Great, he replied. Then you can't charge us. The next morning, our mailbox was smashed. Then came the letters, escalating fines, threats of liens, even hints that our access road might be under review. Grandpa calmly said, they want to block us in? Let's see how they like it when they're the ones boxed in. The morning we woke up to cement, I was getting coffee when Grandpa shouted from a porch. Our driveway, which curved gently to the main road, had been poured over with fresh cement during the night. Still soft, but solid enough that my car wasn't going anywhere. A single piece of cardboard was taped to the fence. Next time, pay up. Hawaiian Fosam. That was their biggest mistake. Because this wasn't just a crime, it was documented physical evidence. And my grandpa, he was just getting warmed up. Grandpa's plan was genius-level petty. We called the sheriff. And while he agreed it was vandalism, he also said, unless you catch them in the act or prove who poured it, it's a civil matter. Grandpa just nodded. Then we'll solve it civilly. With equipment. Within 3 hours, an excavator, dump truck, and trenching machine were delivered to our property. That evening, while HOA members were inside their meeting at the HOA office, a little building near the pool area, Grandpa started digging. Not on their land. Around it. The HOA HQ got surrounded by a moat. It took one full day. A 4-foot deep trench completely encircled the HOA clubhouse, 60 feet in diameter. Grandpa filled it with water from our well pump system, added signs, private property, no crossing without authorization, balance scale, unlawful use of equipment will be prosecuted. Karen showed up mid-tantrum. You can't do this. This is community property. Grandpa, standing beside his muddy excavator, tipped his hat. Oh, I'm not on your land. Check the survey lines. This is my family's easement strip. Always has been. Absolutely. Here's part 2 of 19A, bringing the story to a clever, satisfying, and entertaining conclusion. Total across both parts, 1,500 words. The revenge is legendary, and the HOA never saw it coming. House with Car 19A, part 2. Karen ended up in a kayak. 6th Moat went viral the moment Grandpa finished digging and filling the trench around the HOA office. I posted a photo on Reddit with the caption, HOA poured cement in our driveway. Grandpa responded with a moat. It exploded. Within 24 hours, over 30,000 upvotes, comments from lawyers, veterans, and contractors. A local news crew showed up asking for an interview. Grandpa said only one thing on camera. When people try to trap you with concrete, hand them a shovel and let them dig their own grave. 7. The HOA tried to get the fire department involved. Karen called the fire marshal, claiming Grandpa had created a fire hazard by blocking emergency access. But the fire inspector arrived, reviewed our easement boundaries, and confirmed this land isn't HOA property, and the trench isn't blocking your building. It's surrounding your own lot. He smiled and added, we do recommend having an emergency plan, though. Might want to invest in a ladder. or a canoe. That's when Grandpa handed Karen a $39 inflatable kayak in its original packaging. She lost her mind. 8th, then we served them legally while Karen was throwing tantrums. I filed a formal civil trespass complaint for the cement incident. We submitted video footage from our trail cam of a red truck pouring cement at 3:17 a.m. A license plate that traced back to Karen's cousin, a receipt from the local concrete supplier under her HOA's account. This wasn't just vandalism. It was documented property damage and misuse of HOA funds. Our attorney sent them a formal demand: pay for the removal and resurfacing, or face a criminal fraud investigation. 9. The members revolted. Turns out the HOA board had been using funds without homeowner votes, charging landscaping fees that went nowhere, and secretly billing their own cousins and friend for maintenance work. Now that the spotlight was on them, members revolted. Over 60 homeowners signed a petition demanding full financial transparency, Karen's immediate resignation, and a vote to dissolve the HOA entirely. The final meeting was packed. Karen showed up late. Vet. Why? Because someone had removed the temporary bridge over Grandpa's moat. She had to paddle across in the kayak. You can't make this up. Key capped in, the final blow. Grandpa had one more surprise as Karen stood trying to defend herself. Grandpa walked in holding a rolled-up blueprint from 1961. It showed the original access easement, a 30-foot wide path that predated the HOA entirely. And guess what? The HOA built their office directly on that easement decades later, illegally. Grandpa looked at the board and said, "You try to trap us. You trespassed. You poured cement on my grandson's driveway. So now, I'm giving you 30 days to vacate my land." Mic drop. Endero epilogue. Moat's still there. Karen's not. The HOA was dissolved 3 weeks later. Karen and 3 board members were ordered to pay over $12,000 in damages, refund falsely collected fees, and resign from any future HOA boards in the county. Karen sold her home and left town. The moat? Still there. Only now, Grandpa stocked it with koi fish and built a little arch bridge over it. He calls it his victory pond. People still drive by to take photos. Final words: they poured cement to trap us in. We dubbed them a lesson they'd never forget. When you push a veteran and his grandson and try to silence them with threats, you better bring more than a wheelbarrow of cement, because we bring bulldozers, blueprints, and justice. If watching HOA tyrants get crushed by creative justice makes your day, hit that subscribe button. New wild, true style takedowns every week.